Everything you've been told about change probably started from the outside. Set goals, push harder, fix flaws, try again. But there's a deeper intelligence at work. A silent architect behind your habits, your choices, your circumstances. It's not out there in the world. It's not waiting for the right timing, the perfect motivation, or the next breakthrough moment. It's inside you and it's already active. Right now. Welcome to Quantum Becoming, a series that challenges everything you've assumed about personal growth. This isn't about productivity hacks, quick fix affirmations, or surface-level change. It's about tapping into a much deeper reality, one where the boundaries between thought and experience begin to blur, and the person you're becoming is no longer shaped by your past, but by the frequencies you're choosing in the present. This is not motivational fluff. It's not mystical escapism, and it's definitely not just theory. What we're exploring here is built on a powerful fusion of ancient metaphysical insight, cutting-edge understanding of consciousness, and principles inspired by quantum mechanics. These aren't just big ideas. They're tools, practical, grounded, and deeply transformative. Here's the idea: transformation doesn't have to be linear. It doesn't need to be hard. And it certainly isn't bound by time the way you've been taught. Transformation can be quantum. That means massive change without the need for external validation. A complete identity shift from the inside out, where your thoughts, emotions, and energy field begin to resonate with a future version of you that already exists and already knows how to lead the way. Throughout this series, we're going to expose the hidden architecture of your mind and energetic self. We'll explore how your reality is being constructed by unconscious perception patterns and how you can rewire them to align with who you truly want to become. You'll learn how to tune into alternate versions of yourself, not as a fantasy, but as a navigational system. You'll understand how your emotions hold the key to activating different frequencies of existence, and how mastering those emotional states creates real, measurable outcomes. From visualization techniques that actually work, to unlocking the hidden language of your body, to understanding why your inner dialogue is often not your own. This is where it gets real. And more than anything, this is where you stop waiting for your life to change and start choosing it with conscious, quantum precision. So whether you've spent years in personal development, or you're just beginning to sense that there's something more under the surface of your current life, you're in the right place. Because you are more than you think. You are a multidimensional field of possibility. And your transformation isn't just personal. It's energetic, perceptual, and utterly nonlinear. Let's begin by asking a deeper question about who or what you actually are. Let's start with the holographic self. Are you just a reflection of infinite realities? Your identity may feel solid. You have memories, a name, a backstory. You know your preferences, your fears, your strengths. You walk through life assuming there is one you, a singular personality moving along a single path. But that's only the surface. Beneath that apparent solidity lies something extraordinary, a multidimensional blueprint, a field of infinite versions of you, each one shaped by choices not yet made, thoughts not yet thought, emotions not yet felt. These versions aren't fiction. They're real, accessible, and active within the quantum field. And here's the most stunning part. Your current self is simply one snapshot in that field. Let's unpack that. In quantum physics, reality behaves like a hologram. A hologram is a 3D image encoded in a 2D surface, where every part contains the whole. Cut the image into pieces, and each piece still holds the full picture, just from a different perspective. Your consciousness works the same way. Your current perspective, your beliefs, personality traits, patterns, even your story, is one of many ways your consciousness can organize itself. It's not fixed. It's not final. And it's certainly not the whole story. When you look in the mirror, you're seeing the expression of one version. But just like with a hologram, the whole picture still exists, and other versions of you are embedded in that same energetic field. Versions who speak up instead of shrinking back. Versions who act with confidence, clarity, and deep purpose. Versions who already live the outcomes you desire. These aren't abstract ideas. They are quantum possibilities that your consciousness can align with if you know how to shift perspective. The real key is perception. Your identity isn't made of facts. It's made of what you focus on. And whatever you consistently focus on, you reinforce. You lock it in. You project it outward and call it me. But just because you've been seeing yourself a certain way doesn't mean that's all there is. In the quantum field, you're not a single stream of self. You're a cluster of potential identities, each one responding to your energetic state, which includes your thoughts, emotions, intentions, and actions. And whichever one you energize the most becomes dominant in your experience. So how do you shift? You begin by identifying the version of yourself who already lives your next level. How do they think? What emotional baseline do they operate from? How do they make decisions? What beliefs feel automatic to them? This isn't about faking it or pretending. It's about tuning your frequency to match the self you choose to experience. Because identity is not a matter of history, it's a matter of alignment. And alignment doesn't require time. It requires clarity and energetic coherence. When you begin to think, feel, and act from the standpoint of a higher version of yourself, something changes. You stop repeating. You stop reacting. You stop reinforcing the old script. You start broadcasting a new signal into the quantum field, and that signal draws in new opportunities, new thoughts, and new patterns of behavior that reinforce the new identity. This is what quantum becoming truly means. You're not working your way toward a better version of yourself. You're collapsing into it, like snapping into focus with a different lens. Same reality, different view. And as you hold that view consistently, not just in thought, but in emotional resonance and embodied action, that version becomes your dominant state. Your new baseline, your new normal. So when people say you've changed, they're not just noticing new habits. They're witnessing a new frequency, a different holographic pattern lighting up. Now here's something to reflect on. Everything you experience is a mirror. The world reflects the version of you you're currently being. When you shift that version internally, consciously, the mirror cannot stay the same. This is why the idea of becoming is so misleading. You're not becoming something new. You're selecting a version that already exists and activating it through energetic commitment. So don't try to fix the old self. There's nothing broken there. Instead, recognize the full holographic map. See the infinite paths encoded in your consciousness. And then deliberately choose the one that reflects your highest intention. Not someday. Now. Next, we will uncover how multiple versions of your life path already coexist, and how you can begin accessing the one aligned with your vision with absolute clarity. That's where we explore the concept of timeline shifting, and how to begin living in resonance with the future that's already waiting. Your future isn't far away. It's not waiting in the distance. It's already active, layered into this moment like a hidden track underneath your current soundtrack. This is the premise of timeline hopping, the understanding that multiple versions of your future already exist. They're not waiting to be created. They're waiting to be selected. Right now, countless variations of your life path are playing out in the field of potential. Some are closely aligned with where you are. Others look radically different. But they all coexist in a matrix of quantum possibility, responding to your frequency. Your future is not built by logic. It's built by energetic commitment. Here's the truth. The decisions you make today aren't just steps forward. They're access points. Every action, thought, and emotion sends out a signal. That signal becomes your frequency. And that frequency determines which timeline locks in as your dominant experience. You don't move toward a future. You match it. And when you match it, it meets you. Let's unpack the mechanism. Think of your life as a film reel. Every frame is a moment in time, strung together to give the illusion of flow. But outside of that linear view, all the frames exist at once. The only question is, which sequence are you watching? Now apply that to your consciousness. Your current reality feels continuous because of how your mind strings it together. But outside of that narrative, every possible version of your life already exists as potential frames. Your thoughts are not creating from scratch. They're acting like tuning forks, pulling in the next matching frame. Change your frequency, and the sequence changes. Change it consistently, and an entirely new timeline becomes your new normal. So how do you shift timelines with intention? First, drop the illusion of distance. Stop thinking of the life you want as something in the future. Distance creates delay. When you believe something is far away, you reinforce its absence. That keeps you looped into your current pattern. Instead, operate from the principle that the version of you who lives that life already exists. Your job isn't to become them. It's to tune into their frequency. Start with clarity. Get specific about what the alternate timeline looks like. Not just outcomes, but how you feel, how you move through the world, how you respond to life. This is not about wishful thinking. It's a neurological and energetic shift. The brain begins to rewire itself when you repeatedly visualize and emotionally experience the desired reality, because it no longer distinguishes between the imagined and the actual. Once you build coherence between your thoughts and emotions, your body responds as if the new timeline is already real, and the quantum field follows that lead. Now, here's the challenge. You'll be tempted to measure progress by external feedback. You'll wait for proof. But timeline shifting works the opposite way. You must become the proof before the world reflects it back. This requires identity-level alignment. You can't fake the frequency. You have to think, act, and feel from the place that matches your selected timeline, even when nothing outside you has changed yet. That's where most people break the signal. They slip back into old patterns because they don't see instant confirmation. But in doing so, they're reinforcing the timeline they're trying to leave behind. This is where emotional authority comes in. You are the authority of your state, not circumstances, not results, not delays. You train your nervous system to feel the reality you choose, regardless of appearances. And as you hold that alignment, you begin to experience quantum echoes. Subtle shifts in thought, interaction, and opportunity. That's when confirmation begins to show up, because you showed up first. Here's the pivot point. Your future is not responding to your words. It's responding to your vibration. And vibration doesn't lie. You can't affirm abundance and then operate from fear. You can't visualize love and then cling to scarcity. You can't talk confidence and walk hesitation. Your state is your statement. Always. There is one more key. Letting go of linear time. The quantum field does not organize itself chronologically. The fastest shifts don't happen by mapping every step. They happen through jumps in identity. When you stop needing to know how and when, you free your energy to focus on being. That's where the shift accelerates. So stop asking when your life will change. Start asking, am I the version of me who lives that reality now? Next, we will explore something even more immediate, not about where you're going, but how your awareness shapes what's already happening. You'll see why your thoughts, when observed with intention, don't just reflect your world, they reshape it. There's a mystery at the heart of quantum physics that shakes the foundation of how reality is understood. It's called the observer effect. It states that the act of observation, simply watching a particle, changes its behavior. Left unmeasured, it behaves like a wave of potential. But once it's observed, it collapses into a specific form. That's not a metaphor. It's a direct link between consciousness and physical reality. And here's where it gets personal. If observation affects outcomes on a quantum level, what does that mean for the way you observe your thoughts, your emotions, your life? Let's bring this closer. You're constantly observing yourself, narrating, judging, reacting, defining. But are you conscious of the observer? Or are you lost in the reaction? When you become aware of the observer, the part of you that notices without attaching, you unlock a power most people never access. Because it's not the thought that defines your experience. It's how you relate to the thought. It's not the emotion that traps you. It's the identification with it. Once you observe without reacting, you create space. And in that space, transformation begins. Think of your mind like a movie screen. Thoughts, fears, desires, they all play across it. Most people get pulled into the scene, forgetting they're not the character. They're the awareness watching the story unfold. Observation reclaims that awareness. And once you step into it, the narrative changes. Not because you control the scene, but because you no longer believe everything it tells you. That's the power of conscious observation. It collapses false identities. Now let's take it further. You're not just observing yourself. You're observing your world, and the energy behind your perception shapes what you see. When you look for problems, you find them. When you expect rejection, you experience it. When you project limitation, you attract it. This is not wishful thinking. It's the structure of resonance. Your observations are not passive. They're participatory. Every time you focus on a thought, you energize it. You make it more real in your field. You send a signal. This is what I believe. This is what I expect. This is what I'm available for. The universe doesn't respond to requests. It responds to resonance. So the question becomes, what are you unconsciously observing over and over? What patterns are you reinforcing simply by paying attention to them? And more importantly, how would your reality shift if you began observing from your future self's awareness? This is the pivot most people miss. They try to change from the same perspective that created the pattern. You can't do that. You must shift your point of observation. Start watching your life as the version of you who already lives the outcome. See the obstacles from that state. See the choices from that state. See yourself from that state. That change in perspective isn't a mental game. It's an energetic realignment, a collapsing of old constructs, a command to the quantum field. And it's not about detachment or denial. Conscious observation doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means reclaiming the authority to define what the moment means. You can observe fear and choose courage. You can observe lack and choose possibility. You can observe pain and choose growth. Not because you're forcing positivity, but because you're shifting your identification from the content of the mind to the creator behind it. That creator is you, the real you. From this point on, your practice is presence. Not passive awareness, but precise, intentional observation. Watch what you say when no one's listening. Watch how you respond to uncertainty. Watch the thoughts you argue for and ask, is this aligned with the version of me I choose? Because everything you observe without awareness becomes your default. But everything you observe with consciousness becomes your tool. And that changes everything. Next, we will explore the role of emotion, not as a reaction, but as a navigational key to dimensional states of being. You'll see how emotional mastery isn't about regulation. It's about activation. Emotions are not just feelings. They are instructions. Each one carries an energetic code that shifts your frequency and determines what kind of reality you are attuned to. Whether you realize it or not, you're constantly broadcasting your emotional state, and that broadcast doesn't just reflect your inner world. It shapes the one you interact with. Most people treat emotions as side effects. They come, they react, they move on. But when you start to understand the deeper function of emotional energy, the entire game changes. Because emotion is how you speak to the quantum field. Let's start with the fundamentals. Every emotion is a vibration, a specific signal. Joy, gratitude, love, high-frequency states that open you to more expansive timelines. Fear, shame, guilt, low-frequency states that restrict perception and narrow possibility. It's not about labeling emotions as good or bad. That's too simplistic. It's about recognizing them as portals. Each one is an entry point into a particular version of you, and by extension, a version of your life. You don't just feel emotions. You enter into agreement with them, and whatever you agree with internally, you begin to magnetize externally. This is why emotional mastery is at the core of quantum becoming. Not emotional control, not suppression. Mastery. That means the ability to generate, shift, and sustain the emotions that align with the version of yourself you are choosing to embody, even before the world gives you a reason to feel them. When you realize this, you stop waiting for external permission to access high-frequency states. You stop needing things to go right before you feel empowered, aligned, peaceful, or inspired. You begin to lead with emotion, and let reality follow your lead. Now let's break it down even further. You are constantly interpreting the world through an emotional lens. That lens determines what you notice, how you react, and what you reinforce. Two people can look at the same event and have opposite responses. It's not the event that defines the reality. It's the emotional meaning assigned to it. And that meaning is shaped by your habitual emotional state. Your nervous system is trained by repetition. If you've practiced anxiety for years, it becomes your baseline. If you've been unconsciously loyal to frustration, your perception will filter for things to be frustrated about. This doesn't make you broken. It makes you programmable. And that means you can reprogram your emotional set point, not by resisting old states, but by cultivating new ones. Begin by identifying your emotional signature. What states do you default to when you're not paying attention? What emotional loops have become familiar, even if they're uncomfortable? These patterns are clues, not judgments. From there, you shift into emotional authority. This starts with the body. Emotions are felt, not just thought. Trying to think your way out of a low-frequency state rarely works. But moving the body, breathing with intention, or using language in a new way can trigger a physiological shift that cascades upward into the emotional field. Gratitude, for example, is not just a concept. It's a cellular frequency. When you feel it fully, you change your hormonal profile, your brain chemistry, and your energetic output. And here's where it gets powerful. The field around you responds to that change. Let's be clear. Emotion is not just response. It is transmission. You are either transmitting the emotional state that matches your desired timeline, or you are transmitting the state that keeps you tethered to the current one. This doesn't mean you avoid discomfort, but you must learn to feel it without feeding it. You can witness sadness without becoming it. You can acknowledge fear without reinforcing it. You can allow anger to move through you without identifying as it. That's emotional neutrality, the ability to observe without becoming absorbed. From there, you choose. What emotional state am I available for right now? What emotion matches the version of myself who already lives in alignment? Then you cultivate it. Not because life gave you a reason, but because you are the reason. This practice creates emotional coherence. When your heart and brain enter a state of resonance, usually through elevated emotions like joy, peace, and appreciation, your whole system aligns. Your decisions become clearer. Your intuition sharpens. Your presence expands. You're no longer reacting from history. You're radiating from alignment. And that's when synchronicity speeds up. The field responds. Patterns break. New experiences begin to match your new state. Not because you forced change, but because you became change. So here's the shift. Stop using emotions as reactions. Start using them as activators. When you master your emotional frequency, you master your access point to other dimensions of self. You move into the timeline that matches your dominant emotional field, not someday but now. Next, we will explore a powerful tool that accelerates this alignment. Not by escaping into fantasy, but by refining your focus and anchoring your energy into future outcomes with precision. It's time to see with a new kind of vision, one that doesn't just imagine outcomes, it calls them in. Visualization is one of the most talked about tools in self-development. But most people use it wrong, and then dismiss it when it doesn't work. Here's the issue. Basic visualization relies on imagination alone. It treats future outcomes as something to picture and hope for. But in quantum terms, that approach lacks charge. It lacks coherence. It lacks embodiment. You're not here to daydream. You're here to broadcast. And to do that, you must see with the eyes of the future version of you. Not as if the vision is out there, but as if it's here, fully real, fully felt, fully alive in your body. Let's reset the foundation. Visualization works when it aligns all parts of you: mental image, emotional experience, physiological state, and energetic frequency. If even one of those parts is out of sync, the signal weakens. So here's the first upgrade. Stop visualizing from the outside. Stop imagining yourself watching a movie of success, love, freedom, or purpose. That creates distance. It reinforces separation. Instead, shift into first-person immersion. Be inside the moment. Feel the weight of the chair you're sitting in. Hear the sound of your voice speaking from confidence. Smell the air in the room where the breakthrough happens. Your nervous system must believe it's already real. Only then does the body start broadcasting a frequency that matches your chosen timeline. This approach activates the brain's reticular activating system, the filter that decides what to notice and what to ignore. When you train that system through immersive visualization, it starts seeking evidence to match your vision. Not out of magic, but because you've conditioned your perception to expect it. And perception shapes behavior. Behavior shapes reality. So visualization isn't wishful thinking. It's perceptual training. Here's the next upgrade: emotional anchoring. Thoughts without feeling are static. They don't move the field. But when you inject a specific elevated emotion, the one that matches your outcome, your visualization becomes magnetic. If you're visualizing abundance, feel the safety, expansion, and creative flow that comes with it. If you're visualizing purpose, feel the clarity, the excitement, the deep sense of being on track. That emotional anchor tells the quantum field, this is real, this is now, this is me, and the field responds accordingly. Another key: repetition with variation. The brain responds best to repeated input with novelty. So don't just loop the same scene over and over. Let your visualizations evolve. Add detail. Refine the setting. Make it richer, more visceral, more present. You're not creating a fantasy. You're rehearsing a reality. This technique is called quantum rehearsal. You mentally and emotionally rehearse not just what happens, but how you show up in it. This builds identity alignment. And once your identity matches the outcome, your actions follow suit without resistance. Let's talk about resistance. If you visualize something and immediately feel tension, disbelief, doubt, dissonance, that's useful information. It shows you where your current identity is not in agreement with your vision. But don't avoid that friction. Lean into it. Observe it without reacting. Then ask, what version of me would feel ease in this vision? Use that as a cue to upgrade your baseline state. This turns visualization into a feedback system, not just a goal-setting tool. Finally, integrate the practice. Don't isolate visualization to meditation sessions. Use micro-visualizations throughout your day. Before a meeting, during a walk, after waking, while brushing your teeth. Short bursts of embodied visioning keep your frequency aligned and your subconscious engaged. Over time, your internal state becomes so familiar with the future you've rehearsed that your nervous system stops recognizing it as the future. And when that happens, you begin living it. Next, we will explore a deeper layer of internal signal interference, how your thoughts may not be as private or as original as you think, because when you speak to yourself, you may be listening to more than just you. You think your thoughts belong to you, but have you ever questioned where your inner voice learned to speak the way it does? You're not born with beliefs. You're not born with stories. You're not born with the mental loops that define your sense of self. They are passed on, inherited, absorbed, and in the quantum field, everything that's ever touched you, emotionally, psychologically, energetically, can leave an imprint. That includes the voices of others. So when you hear yourself think, it's worth asking, who are you actually listening to? This brings us to entanglement. In quantum physics, entangled particles remain connected no matter how far apart they are. Affect one and the other responds. This isn't metaphor, it's observable. Now apply that to consciousness. You've been in emotional and energetic proximity to people, patterns, environments, and lineages. You've exchanged energy. You've formed attachments. You've absorbed frequencies. And some of those frequencies are still speaking through your inner dialogue. Even if the people are gone, the situations are over, or the beliefs no longer serve you. You've become entangled with energies that shape your internal narrative, often without your awareness. Here's how to spot it. When your thoughts sound automatic, when your self-talk feels familiar but disempowering, when your decisions are laced with guilt, fear, or confusion, chances are you're not hearing your original voice. You're echoing an entangled pattern. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're still plugged in. And to reclaim your authority, you have to untangle the signal. Start by noticing the tone of your inner voice. Is it encouraging or critical? Expansive or restricting? Does it push you forward or pull you back? Who does it sound like? Trace it back. That phrase, that fear, that self-doubt. When did it begin? Where did it come from? Who modeled that narrative to you? Once you bring awareness to the origin of a thought, it begins to lose its grip. Because the moment you realize a belief isn't yours, you stop unconsciously agreeing with it. Next, tune into your emotional field. Thoughts generate emotions, but emotions also invite specific thoughts. If you're operating from unprocessed fear or grief that isn't even yours, inherited from family, culture, or past relationships, it creates an emotional signature that attracts thoughts to match. That's entanglement in action. You're not just thinking with your mind, you're thinking with your field. So clearing your field isn't optional. It's foundational. Use practices that shift energy, breathwork, stillness, movement, sound. Let the body speak what the mind can't articulate. You don't have to understand every source. You just have to change the frequency. When your field clears, your mind clears. And when your mind clears, your true voice returns. There's another layer to this. You're not only entangled with the past. You're also connected to the collective. Every day you tune into thought streams, cultural programming, social media patterns, collective fear, collective hope, collective urgency. And the stronger your internal signal, the less you get pulled into these shared frequencies. But if your boundaries are weak, you start carrying energies that don't belong to you and mistaking them for your own. This creates confusion, paralysis, indecision. You sense something is off, but you can't identify the source. That's the moment to pause, breathe, ask the question. Does this thought carry my signature or someone else's? If it's not yours, drop it. No explanation needed. Reclaiming your inner dialogue is a daily practice. It begins with observation, noticing the patterns, noticing the voices, noticing the emotional energy behind them, then choosing to speak differently. Your voice is a tuning fork. Use language that reflects the identity you are claiming. Use tone that reflects sovereignty. Speak to yourself with the respect and clarity you want to be mirrored back by your reality. This is not fake positivity. It's energetic recoding. And it works. There's one final key here. Silence is not emptiness. When you create stillness, when you stop feeding the mental noise, your original frequency begins to rise. You reconnect with intuition, with knowing, with clarity that doesn't come from thought at all. It comes from direct connection to your field. Unfiltered, unentangled, undeniable. That's your real voice. That's your real guidance system. And when you hear it, you don't need permission to follow it. You just know. Next, we will explore the power of decision and how every potential you've ever imagined already exists, but only becomes real when you claim it. Reality is not static. It's not pre-written. It's a sea of possibilities, all existing at once, all waiting for one thing: focus. In quantum mechanics, this is called the wave function. Until observed, a particle exists in a state of potential. It's not here or there. It's everywhere it could be. But the moment you observe it, the wave collapses. A single outcome emerges from the field. Now replace particle with life decision. Replace wave with timeline. Replace observation with choice. And suddenly, the process of transformation becomes clear. You are surrounded by infinite options. In your relationships, your health, your path, your sense of purpose. Every possibility exists as a wave of potential. But they don't become your lived experience until you choose them. Not with hope, not with hesitation, with absolute energetic clarity. That clarity is what collapses the wave. That's what turns maybe into reality. Most people are stuck in potential paralysis. They stay in the realm of thinking about it, researching it, waiting for the right moment. But in the quantum field, waiting is choosing. It's choosing not yet. It's keeping the wave uncollapsed. And an uncollapsed wave gives you nothing to stand on. So the question is, are you choosing or circling? The power of decision is not mental. It's vibrational. A true decision sends a coherent signal through your entire system. Your mind aligns. Your emotions align. Your body aligns. Your actions follow without friction. But most people don't decide. They entertain. They fantasize. They test the water while keeping one foot on the shore. That ambiguity keeps them stuck between timelines, never fully entering the one they actually desire. And the field responds with mixed results. Inconsistency, frustration, delay. Because the field is not confused. It's matching you. To collapse the wave, you must move with conviction. That doesn't mean dramatic action. It means energetic certainty. It means choosing with your whole being, not because of what you see, but because of what you know. The external confirmation comes after. The shift begins now. Here's the process. Identify the reality you want to live. Be precise. Be vivid. Not just the outcomes, but how it feels to be that version of you. Feel the friction. Notice what beliefs, fears, or doubts come up. Let them rise. They are the wave resisting collapse. Choose anyway. Speak the decision. Feel it in your body. Let your energy say, "This is mine." Act in alignment. Small or big doesn't matter. What matters is integrity. Action that reinforces the decision starts to lock in the timeline. Hold the signal. You'll be tested. Not by fate, but by frequency. Keep choosing. Keep collapsing. Until the new path becomes your new base. This is not about forcing outcomes. It's about matching the timeline that already exists and claiming it with unwavering consistency. The more you hesitate, the more you reactivate the old wave. The more you choose, the faster reality reforms around the new one. It's not magic. It's mechanics. There's another truth here. Your life is already responding to your previous choices, conscious or unconscious. Everything you see right now is the collapsed result of past frequencies. But your next moment is still unformed, still fluid, still open, and all it needs is your clarity. So stop waiting for the conditions to line up. You are the condition. You are the observer. You are the wave collapser. Next, we will shift from the invisible to the physical, to the vehicle that carries your frequency, encodes your history, and holds the potential to transform itself from within. The quantum body is not just flesh. It's a signal tower, and it's already listening. Your body is not just a machine. It's not a passive vehicle carrying your consciousness through time. It is consciousness coded in form, frequency, and function. You are not a brain stuck in flesh. You are a field expressing through biology. And when you start treating your body as a quantum instrument, not just a biological system, transformation accelerates. Because your body doesn't just reflect your past. It broadcasts your state, your beliefs, and your timeline into the field in real time. Let's begin with one truth that most people overlook. Your body is a feedback device. It stores memory, not just cognitive memory, but emotional, energetic, and vibrational imprints. Every experience leaves a trace. Every emotion that wasn't fully processed gets stored. Every thought that loops in the mind becomes a posture, a tension pattern, a hormonal signal. You think with your body as much as you think with your mind. And most of what you're thinking isn't new. It's rehearsed, repeated, somatically encoded. This means that your body may be broadcasting outdated information. You might be energetically projecting from a story you're no longer aligned with, simply because your cells haven't received the update. So let's talk energy. You are made of atoms. Atoms are 99.999% empty space. That space isn't empty. It's potential. It's vibration. It's charge. Your body is a vibrating electromagnetic field. Every organ emits a frequency. Your heart produces a magnetic field that extends far beyond the body. Your brain emits electrical waves that shift with every thought and emotion. You are radiating a signal. That signal tells the quantum field who you are, what you believe, and what you are available for. And that's why real transformation cannot just be intellectual. You have to recondition the body. Start by listening. What is your body holding that your mind has normalized? What are the sensations, the stiffness, the restlessness, the fatigue, actually pointing to? Symptoms are not interruptions. They are messages. Tension in the shoulders may be the weight of unspoken responsibility. Tightness in the chest may be stored grief or suppressed expression. Numbness may be protection, a way to avoid feeling too much. These are not random. They are patterns of energy frozen in time. And the moment you stop trying to fix the body and start listening to it, healing begins. Next, reset the nervous system. The nervous system is the interface between your thoughts, your emotions, and your physical state. If it's stuck in survival, constantly scanning for threat, clinging to control, resisting stillness, your entire frequency is distorted. You can't access elevated states while your system is in defense. Use the body to calm the body. Breath, movement, grounding, presence. These are not luxuries. They are commands to the field. They say, I am safe. I am open. I am available for higher timelines. And once the body feels safe, it stops bracing. It starts flowing. It starts listening. This is also where intention meets biology. When you set an intention but your body is stuck in old chemistry, stress hormones, trauma cycles, unresolved fight or flight, your signal is incoherent. You're thinking abundance but broadcasting survival. You're thinking love but broadcasting defense. You're thinking clarity, but your gut is clenched with fear. Coherence is alignment between thought, feeling, and biology. When all three match, the signal becomes strong enough to affect matter. And that's when change gets physical. Let's also talk about posture and movement. How you carry your body is a declaration of who you think you are. Are you slouched forward, avoiding visibility? Are you tensed, ready to defend? Are you holding your breath, waiting to be safe? Or are you standing in alignment, open, grounded, connected? Posture is not cosmetic. It's energetic programming. Movement rewrites identity. Every time you shift your stance, your walk, your breath, you shift the message your body sends to the quantum field. Your body also holds memory of versions of you who are no longer relevant. Parts of you still act like they're 5 or 15 or stuck in the story you've outgrown. That's not a flaw. It's a form of loyalty. Your body stayed in that role to protect you. But now your job is to upgrade those patterns. Not by fighting them, not by numbing them, by integrating them. Speak to the body as you would speak to an old friend. Thank it for the protection. Acknowledge the loyalty, and then invite it into the new version of your life, the one you are living now. The body is not separate from your quantum journey. It is the transmitter, the receiver, the anchor. And when your body matches your vision, when it begins to feel, breathe, move, and rest as if your highest timeline is already here, the field has no choice but to respond. Next, we will expose the false narratives that keep people stuck in wishful thinking, looping the same desires with no results, because manifestation only works when you know how to stop doing it wrong. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. Just visualize it. Just feel it. Just believe it. And still, nothing changes. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You are always manifesting, but you're probably doing it from a misaligned state. Because manifestation isn't about thinking really hard. It's not about forcing positivity. It's not about tricking the universe into giving you what you want. It's about becoming the version of you that already lives the reality you desire, and transmitting a signal so coherent that the field can't help but reflect it. Let's dismantle the myths. Myth number 1, manifestation is about asking. No, asking reinforces separation. When you ask, you imply it's not already yours. That energy of lack keeps the timeline at arm's length. Truth, you don't get what you ask for. You get what you align with. Myth number 2, the universe decides when you're ready. That turns you into a passive receiver. It suggests you must earn or deserve your desires. Truth, the field responds to readiness, not worthiness. And readiness is measurable by your vibration, not your history. Myth number 3, you need to visualize daily or it won't work. That assumes repetition equals power. Truth, a single moment of embodied alignment carries more power than 100 scattered fantasies. So why aren't you getting what you want? Because there's often a split in your signal. You say you want freedom, but you still identify with struggle. You say you want love, but you're still protecting yourself from being hurt. You say you want success, but your nervous system is still wired to fear visibility. The field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your coherence. When your beliefs, emotions, identity, and actions are all sending the same message, manifestation becomes inevitable. Until then, it's inconsistent. Let's talk identity. You don't manifest from your desires. You manifest from your self-concept. So ask yourself, who do I believe I am? Because if your core identity is rooted in limitation, lack, trauma, or smallness, no amount of vision boarding will override that signal. Shift the identity and the timeline shifts with it. Now let's talk timing. People say, it's just not time yet. But that's often an excuse for energetic contradiction. Yes, there's divine order, but most delays aren't sacred. They're self-created. Delays come from hesitation, doubt, or energetic noise. You wobble between belief and fear. You visualize the outcome but still act from the past. Time doesn't fix that. Only alignment does. And then there's surrender. Surrender is not about giving up. It's about releasing control of the how, not the what. When you cling to control, you disrupt the field. You send out stress, fear, and rigidity. But when you release the need to know, when you let go of urgency, you create space for synchronicity. The moment you stop needing it is often the moment it arrives. Here's your real work. Get clear on what you actually want, not what you were told to want. Feel the version of you who already has it, not as fantasy but as frequency. Act from that place even when the world hasn't caught up yet. Detach from needing confirmation, because your vibration is the confirmation. That's not magic. That's physics. Manifestation is not about asking. It's about choosing, holding, aligning, trusting. And when all of that becomes your normal, manifestation isn't something you do. It's who you are. Next, we will explore what it means to consciously rebuild the blueprint of your identity. Because the version of you you've known is not fixed, it's just familiar. You are not here to find yourself. You are here to create yourself again and again with increasing accuracy, alignment, and freedom. The greatest illusion in personal transformation is the idea that identity is a fixed truth. That who you are is something to discover once and for all. But identity isn't found. It's constructed, reinforced, chosen. And the version of you that's showing up now isn't your destiny. It's just your default. Let's break it open. Identity is not personality. Identity is a self-image held in place by memory, emotion, and repetition. It's the story you tell yourself about who you are, where you've been, what you're capable of, how life works for someone like you. That story becomes the operating system. It dictates how you think, what you expect, how you respond, and what you unconsciously allow. But here's the deeper truth. That story isn't based on who you are. It's based on who you were when you were still surviving, still protecting, still adapting to conditions that no longer exist. So the question isn't who am I really? The question is, which version of me do I want to make real now? Because all versions exist. Not as fantasies, but as parallel patterns in the quantum field, waiting for activation. And the way you activate a new version isn't by talking about change. It's by living from the new identity before it feels natural, before the world affirms it, before anyone believes it, before there's proof. This is the point where most people loop back. They wait to feel ready. They wait until it feels real. They wait for external validation. But in quantum becoming, you move before it's familiar. You become before it's proven. Here's how to begin. Start with clarity. Define the identity that aligns with your highest frequency. Be exact. Not just the external traits, but the internal truths. How does this version of you think? What beliefs are automatic for them? How do they speak to themselves? How do they show up even on a hard day? You're not guessing. You're downloading a frequency. one that already exists and is available the moment you attune to it. Next, identify the outdated self, the old construct, the one that's familiar but misaligned. Name its habits, language, emotions, and coping mechanisms. Don't fight it, just see it. Awareness begins the rewire. Now choose. Each day, each interaction, each decision is a moment of reinforcement. You are either reinforcing the old identity or wiring in the new one. Identity doesn't shift in a single breakthrough. It locks in through repetition of frequency-specific action. That means you behave from your new self long before the world reflects that change. You wake up as them, walk as them, speak as them, decide as them, not because you're pretending, because you are reprogramming your perception to match a timeline where that identity is already normal. This is not about being fake. It's about being deliberate. The old self will resist. It will whisper doubts. It will urge you to return to what's comfortable. That's not failure. That's neurological residue. Don't argue with it. Don't explain yourself. Just choose again. Each time you respond from the new identity, the old one dissolves not through force, but through irrelevance. Let's also be honest. There's grief in transformation. Even if the old identity was limiting, it was safe, known, practiced. Walking away from it can feel like a loss, because it is. You are grieving the familiar, the predictable, the story that kept you small but gave you certainty. Honor that process, but don't confuse grief with guidance. Discomfort doesn't mean misalignment. It often means expansion. Here's a tool. Each morning, before the world demands your attention, ask, who am I being today? Not as a wish, but as a decision. Then align your thoughts, language, posture, choices, and energy with that version of you. Let them lead. And when challenges come, not if, but when, hold the identity anyway. Because identity isn't who you are when it's easy. It's who you remain when tested. Your identity is fluid, but your choice must be firm. You don't need more time to become the new version. You need more consistency in choosing them. And once your frequency stabilizes, the field catches up. Next, we will examine the one place where all versions, timelines, and outcomes converge. Not in theory, not in memory, not in planning, but in the only moment that has ever held true creative power. Presence has become a cliché, something we mention in passing, a spiritual ideal, a motivational phrase. But if you truly understood the mechanics of now, you would stop reaching into the future for change. You would stop dragging the past behind you like armor, because the present isn't neutral, it's generative. And when you enter it fully with awareness and authority, you unlock the fastest access point to every other timeline. Not someday. Now. Let's get specific. The present moment is the only point of true power, because it's the only point where choice can occur. Everything else is abstraction, memory, and projection. But now, right now, is where frequency is emitted, where identity is expressed, where alignment is claimed. The quantum field does not respond to the stories you tell about your past. It doesn't respond to the plans you make for the future. It responds to the energy you are in now. And most people are barely present. Here's what that looks like. You're in a conversation, but mentally somewhere else. You're visualizing a goal, but emotionally stuck in worry. You're going through the motions while replaying old failures. That disconnection scatters your signal. It makes your frequency unstable. It keeps you from fully accessing the version of you that lives in alignment, because that version isn't in the past or future. They're anchored in now. Presence isn't passivity. It's precision. It means becoming so tuned into this moment that you can feel the microshifts in thought, emotion, and energy, and choose how to respond. Not automatically, not reactively, but consciously. This moment is not small. It is infinite. When you are fully here, time bends. Thoughts slow. Intuition sharpens. Resistance fades. You stop dragging the weight of history. You stop leaning into imaginary futures. You start vibrating in a frequency that carries clarity. To access it, you must train the nervous system. You've spent years practicing distraction, practicing prediction, practicing protection. Now it's time to practice presence. Use breath as an anchor. Feel your body. Hear the room. Notice the thoughts and don't chase them. Return to now, again and again, until presence becomes your baseline. Because when you master the now, you gain access to everything else. Here's a secret. Every timeline is encoded in the now. Every version of you exists here, layered into your awareness. Every outcome is accessible through a single shift in attention. But most people are too busy regretting or rehearsing to notice. The past isn't happening anymore. The future isn't happening yet. Only now is alive. And aliveness is power. Here's how to test it. When you feel lost, overwhelmed, uncertain, ask, where am I right now? Not physically, energetically. Are you in this moment or in a memory? Are you in your breath or in a mental loop? Are you creating or reacting? Presence ends the loop. It reclaims authority. And in that stillness, you can finally hear the guidance that's been waiting. Here's your practice. Throughout the day, pause. Drop into your body. Name 5 things you can feel, see, or hear. Ask, what's the most aligned thought I can choose in this moment? Let it come. Then follow it. That's not spiritual fluff. That's strategic focus. And it changes outcomes. Next, we will bring everything together, frequency, identity, presence, action, into a living blueprint for real-time transformation. Because becoming isn't just a moment, it's a practice. And the practice begins now. You've accessed the concepts. You've tuned your perception. You've shifted your frequency, rewritten your identity, and remembered the power of presence. Now comes the real work, not awakening the quantum self, but living as it. Not for a moment, not when it's easy, every day. Because becoming isn't an event. It's a pattern, a rhythm, a conscious, repeatable state of being. And the only way to stabilize your transformation is to build structure around your frequency. This is the becoming blueprint. It's not a checklist. It's a field manual, a way to hold alignment in motion, to walk as your quantum self in real time through the ordinary and the extraordinary, to remain in coherence regardless of circumstance. Here's what it takes. Step 1. Begin before the world speaks. Your first thoughts of the day are your most powerful. Before the notifications, the to-do lists, the noise, claim the frequency. Ask, who am I choosing to be today? What emotion aligns with my highest self? What timeline am I reinforcing with my presence? Then lock it in. Feel it. Embody it. Move as if it's already real, because in the quantum field it is. This is not visualization. It's alignment. Your morning becomes a transmission tower. Step 2. Design your environment to match. Your environment either reinforces your past self or supports your future self. There is no neutral space. Audit what surrounds you, the people you speak to, the content you consume, the words on your walls, the layout of your space, the vibration of your music, the tone of your inner dialogue. Your quantum self doesn't live in contradiction. So remove the noise that lowers your signal. Replace it with inputs that stabilize the version of you you're becoming. Let your environment work for you, not against you. Step 3. Move as message. Your body is the proof of your alignment. So walk like someone who trusts their direction. Speak with the energy of someone who already belongs. Breathe like your future is not in question. Eat, rest, dress, and express with intention. Let movement become your declaration. Because nothing reinforces identity like embodiment. Step 4. Use emotion as calibration. Throughout the day, check in. Is this emotional state aligned with the self I'm living from? Am I reacting from memory or responding from power? What emotion right now would activate a higher outcome? You are not trying to avoid feeling. You are learning to read feeling, to feel without identifying, to allow emotion to pass through while you remain anchored in choice. This is emotional leadership. It's how your quantum self holds clarity through the chaos. Step 5. Collapse loops instantly. Patterns will arise. Doubt will knock. Old thoughts will whisper. That's not a problem. That's feedback. But here's the rule. Collapse the loop as soon as you notice it. Do not explain the doubt. Do not justify the old response. Do not spiral. Stop. Breathe. Shift. Replace the pattern with the frequency of the self you've chosen. This is not suppression. It's precision. It's the refusal to reinforce the outdated identity you've already outgrown. Step 6. Use micromoments to reinforce the field. It doesn't take hours of ritual. It takes consistency. Use small moments, waiting in line, walking to your car, brushing your teeth, to run quick internal scans. Ask, is my posture matching my vision? Is my energy open or guarded? Am I leaking power or holding it? Each micro-moment becomes an energetic checkpoint. And the more you stack them, the more momentum builds, until your default state is the version of you who no longer questions their direction. Step 7. Let action lock it in. Nothing finalizes a frequency like movement. You can think, feel, and align all day, but until you act, the signal isn't complete. So take the step. Make the call. Launch the idea. Speak the truth. Shift the habit. Change the response. Say yes when you used to say no. Say no when you used to shrink. Action doesn't need to be big. It needs to be clean, aligned, conscious, deliberate. Because quantum shifts happen in energy first, but they become permanent through action. Step 8. Close the day with authority. Before you sleep, review. Not with judgment, with data. Where did I act in alignment today? What did I reinforce? What can I refine tomorrow? End the day the same way you began it, with presence. Let your final thoughts reinforce your timeline. Let your body rest in the energy of already having. Let your subconscious go to work on your behalf, because you programmed it with precision. Here's the truth. You don't have to chase results. You have to broadcast coherence. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be deliberate. You don't have to become someone new. You need to become someone true. Everything you've been seeking, every outcome, every possibility, every shift, is already encoded in the field. But the field doesn't respond to hope. It responds to certainty. So live as the self that knows. Hold the frequency that leads. Act with the energy of inevitability. Not someday. Not when the timing is right. Not when it's comfortable. Now, because the you that holds the vision is also the you that builds the path. And the becoming, it never ends. This completes the Quantum Becoming series, but it marks the beginning of your real-time embodiment. You're not just watching a transformation, you're choosing it, every moment, every breath, every now.